Good morning and welcome back to the Explicit Mishers podcast. We are back live again on the episodes. We are going through our New Year's resolutions this year. What's our New Year's fabric resolutions, I guess?
It's 2026, man.
We made it another year.
I personally have never been more excited for a year than this coming
Really?
year. I don't know why. I feel good about it. I already have some things kind of planned up. So it's one of those things where you're like, I could not wait before Christmas break for the next year to start.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I had that same sentiment. I was just kind of plodding along, doing things. I do feel like though, whenever I go out on break, I work hard and work a
Mhm.
lot all throughout the weeks. But when I take a break, the first couple days of break are like, oh, I'm still thinking about work. I'm
Yes.
trying to get work things off my plate. And at some point, I'm able to push enough work off of my plate that I'm not thinking about it. I'm actually able to take a break. And then at the end of my break, I'm like, oh, I got to go back to work. I got to switch gears again.
So
And that's very difficult.
not for me. No, so because by the end, and here's the thing. So the week of Christmas, I worked the Monday and Tuesday before Christmas Eve. And my wife's like, well, why are you putting so much work in? Because I'm like, I have a big thing coming up this month, which I'm really excited about. Big project. I'm like, I need to get out of my head because it's just going to be in my head unless I get to a point.
You'll dwell on it. You'll keep
I'll
mulling
dwell
it over.
on it. Right. Yeah. It's always going to be in my head. And that's kind of work in general for me, but I like that. But that being said, after 2 weeks of kids being home, and it was a week and a half I took off, you kind of start feeling the twitch. And that for me, I'm like, it's quiet down here, and you know what? It's just your voice. It's not someone putting their finger in someone else's nose or the weird things. Granted, I miss my kids, but this is good. This is very good. So
Yeah, a lot of my day is just spent thinking and planning and working with people on computers. I don't have a ton of time. It's very different from my pattern to be upstairs with all the kids and all the
right.
extra noise and the things that they're doing. They're always constantly trying to be busy. I'm like, I just like to sit still every so often because that's kind of what I do every day. Anyways, all right, good. Any kind of New Year's traditions that you do, Tommy?
Yeah. So actually, I think I also brought up the reason I was excited for this year. New Year's is actually, I think, my favorite holiday. It's my favorite get together with people. And let me try to sell you on this because
Okay.
I know this is for a lot of people, they've never even heard someone say this before.
Sure.
So when you think about every holiday, usually like Thanksgiving, Christmas, the big ones, it's family or, usually family. And it's good, but it's a little stressful because if you're hosting, let's say you're hosting, well, you got to make sure the food's ready and you got to make sure everyone's fed and where they're staying. So there's a little added stress to the holiday. Also, most holidays, you are also having them extended stays. So it's not just the single day, which is stressful, especially if you're hosting. Even if you're not hosting, you don't want to impede on someone else's traditions. You just kind of over there. So there's all that little extra kind of added work that's going in, even though you're just trying to relax. New Year's Eve, man, the only thing you're supposed to do is just enjoy everyone's company. There's no expected traditions or like, oh, I can't believe they didn't bring out cookies for Christmas. I mean, there's no conversation you're having in the wife in the car. Like, can you believe that they did X, Y, and Z? There was no turkey. Oh my gosh, that doesn't happen. The best thing is when New Year's finally hits, all it is people just going Happy New Year's. There's hugs. It's people that you enjoy, hopefully, that you're with. And it's just a nice, easy time. Not saying the other holidays are bad. I'm just saying this is the only holiday without any stress.
I can see the preparation is kind of be a little bit less. Just get some balloons, get a
Eat your
couple
food.
things, watch something on TV of the ball dropping, and
Yeah.
then just kind of relax.
We have spanakopita or cheese sticks or chicken wings or whatever it is, something people pick. They can do
Yeah.
it themselves. So it's great. And the tradition that we have is actually from my best man, my best friend. And I think it's a Cuban tradition. He told me that. But once New Year's hit, everyone gets a bag of 12 grapes to signify every month of the year. And what we did, or what the tradition was, is you throw it up in the air, you catch it. Every grape you catch is a good month coming up.
Oh, okay. Did
So
you
I'm
catch all
happy to
12?
report. I'm happy to report. I'm going to start strong. The summer's going to be a little lean. June and July are not looking great, and
Uh-oh.
then we're going to ease. We're going to have a good end of the year, but we're going to have a
Interesting.
great first quarter. But
Fun.
I've always liked that. Yeah. So just exactly fun. No stress. So that's something I really enjoy doing.
We this year for our family, we took a trip this year, and so while we were on our trip, we were gone during New Year's. So that was when we were able to. We typically would let the kids stay up late till midnight if we were at our house, but they've been getting older, and so they've been able to more easily handle up
Mhm.
late nights. I don't know how old your kids are, Tommy, but the younger ones don't seem to make it all the way till like midnight. So
They want
w-
to.
in the past, what we've done is we've done like TV shows, or like there's like early like Netflix had some kind of like pre-show that was like
Yeah.
earlier in the afternoon. So this time we did a late night. Everyone stayed up and we watched the ball drop, and we had balloons coming down from the ceiling, and everyone was
Look at
partying
that.
and having fun together. This was kind of the first time they've actually had like a real like go somewhere and be at a place and actually participate in kind of New Year's, which is a lot of fun. So
It's awesome.
I think that was a good making core memories, I guess.
Core memories. Well, that actually leads to a really great question, Mike. Road trips with the family. You as the dad, how do you handle that? And I'm gonna trying to preface this with the management of, let's say it's a 6 to 9 hour ride. I don't know how long your road trips are. How long are they usually? Where
We do a lot less road trips anymore.
okay.
Most of the stuff that we need to get to are flying trips. And now that our
Okay.
kids are older, we can do flying trips much easier.
Mhm.
I definitely also notice. Well, again, we have a minivan, so we're
Mhm.
we're totally a minivan family, and everyone can
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like get in and zone out. Our kids are not old enough that most of them have devices that they play on, so we pretty much shove them in the back of the car, let them have free reign of devices, and we just kind of haul. I like
Mhm.
driving. I don't mind longer
Yeah.
trips. I can do pretty good drives. Although as I've been getting older, I'm just more anxious about getting there. So
Mhm.
a lot more of what we've been doing is the longest drive we have is like 30 minutes to the airport, and then we travel together to wherever we're
I
going
gotcha.
on an airplane.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of Florida type trips.
Florida trips.
Yeah,
That's nice.
the place where Tommy came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Thank you for that terrible reminder. But so we actually surprised my sister. She turned 40 and she lives in Alabama. And I have to preface this. The did you know that the place with the highest per capita of people with PhDs is actually in Alabama
Isn't
because
that because
there's
of the
the
isn't there
Rockets.
the Rockets? It's
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like there was a TV show for a while that was like Alabama. It was Redneck
It could have
Science,
been.
or I can't remember what it was. It was something about like Alabama scientists, and they were just a bunch of PhD guys sitting around doing crazy, building interesting things down in Alabama. But yes, there's a lot of really smart
Yeah.
people
So
all
and
around the rocket space.
I have to preface that because every time I say I went to Alabama for Christmas, they kind of get a turn of the head, like, why? But no, if you're from Alabama, it's a great place. But we went for New Year's and the
Awesome.
drive's 9 hours.
Yeah.
And I have a 8, 6, and 5 year old, or 9, 7, and 5 year old in the car.
Yeah.
And but my goal is, look, you're sleeping in the beginning because we leave at like 4:35 in the morning.
Yeah.
I do not like driving when it's like coming in the evening. I like just getting there and then being able to relax. So I'm a
So
big proponent of leaving early.
now you're already up kind of early, anyways, just because your
Yeah.
mind clicks on and you're up and running. Does
Yeah.
that mean you go to bed earlier then? Would you go to bed earlier ish?
No, I mean the kids do, but for me, like my wife is usually she's actually the packer planner. And that's a great people like, you don't pack. I'm like, ask her if she wants me to pack. That's her thing.
She likes
So
to organize.
I am the luggage picker upper, basically. So I am putting it in the car, doing the Tetris with it, but she's doing all the organization with that. So we do
Yep.
that the night before. So the morning we wake them up, we go. They sleep. I just rock out to Billy Joel while everyone sleeps in the car for the first 3 hours.
Yep.
So there's a few nice live albums, but
I
we
could see
only
that being
stop. Yeah,
because then you've got like you're out of Chicago, like you're out of the traffic area. There's not a lot of you're not sitting in traffic
exactly.
30
Like
minutes
you
from your
got to
house.
plan those things. Yeah.
That would be
But
horrible.
just like we left earlier to go to Alabama, so we did not hit the Chicago traffic at the rush hour. So
Ah, yes.
this is what dad should do. I think, but we only stop for gas. If there's like, you ever heard of Bucky's?
Yeah, I heard Bucky's.
Yeah.
I've
So
never been to one, but my wife and my daughter just recently visited one and was like, "Wow, this place is amazing."
we
I've
did
never been
too.
there yet. So,
We're to the wise. So for those who are not aware what Bucky's is, it's the best gas station you'll ever go to in your life. It's a giant, it's almost like an amusement park. And they're serving meat and brisket. And I mean, you could buy almost anything in there. And there's like probably 70 gas stations. The bathrooms are what they sell is actually the big selling point. You will never go to a nicer bathroom in your life, and that includes in your own house. And that's one of the big selling points. However, word to the wise, Mike, go early. When we went, we got, because it's closer to Alabama. We got
Yeah.
there around 2 o'clock. It was like an ant farm. I've never seen more people in a condensed area. And this is someone who originally is from New York and lives in Chicago. And I've never seen more people crammed into one place at one time. So,
Wow. Yeah, I've never been there.
yeah.
I couldn't speak specifically to that
When
one.
you do the flights, though, do you have a kind of a set pattern of we get in, everyone just takes a seat, or do we eat at the airport? Like, what are some of the tips that you have on flying with family?
Well, since I've been traveling a lot to Europe recently for speaking engagements, I've been able to get status on Delta, which has been a super help. And with that, I've been able to push myself to a higher end membership to get into the lounges. So now my kids have been royally spoiled because we go to the airport and they're like, "Quick, where's the Delta lounge?" And so like they want to go there. Yeah, they go there and they sit and they just hang out, eat food, and get, lemonade, unlimited lemonade for themselves. And they're like, "Flying's great." I'm like, "Yeah, it is once you get to like the nicer end of things." So that's pretty much our route. We like to fly direct, but in most places where we go, especially when we're going to Florida, Delta doesn't have a lot of direct flights directly to Florida. So we spend a little bit of time in Atlanta, and the kids are always like, "Okay, which lounge are we trying out this time in Atlanta?" Like we're always trying out different lounges
Like a
there
cheat
because
code.
yeah, it's like a cheat code. So they absolutely love that. Have a lot of fun there. So that's kind of like our routine. We get up, we pack our stuff. I don't like to leave early in the morning. I'm not an early morning person.
Okay.
My wife and is, so she's like, "Let's get up earlier." I'm like, "I just don't," and I'm grumpy the rest of the day. So we try to leave, midday to afternoon on the flights, and then get there when we get there and hang out when we get
Yeah,
to
we're
Florida and
different
things.
that way. If I fly, Mike, I'm trying to get breakfast at where I land. That's my goal. Like, let's get in time so breakfast is still being served.
Yeah,
That is what I want. So you're like, listen, if we hit dinner, great.
we'll get there when we get there. So,
Oh,
anyways,
amazing.
all good.
Beautiful.
All these New Year's traditions. Let's transition into a little bit more of like, so we're talking about New Year's traditions or New Year's things that we're going to do that we have over the new year. Let's kind of poke it a bit here of what kind of things would be traditional or what kind of things we want to do for this next year of 2026 around fabric. Where do we
Like
see
this.
fabric? What are we going to do specifically? What are we going to work on inside fabric to become better at, to get more skilled on? Where do we see ourselves being more equipped, or what are we going to work on in the year of 2026 around things inside fabric? So that's
And
going to be kind of our main topic.
I like this too. And Mike, what I would like to do with you with this is for the person who's giving their resolution, does the other person agree? Is that something they're going to add to their resolution list, or is that something they feel is not a need? And yeah, I like this as well, because one thing I'm going to do, Mike, is with any resolution, I watched this incredible video on how to actually set resolutions. And this is how I'm going to try to frame a lot of what I'm doing. Rather than saying, I will do, I'm going to run, right? You want to say, I'm going to run 3 times a week. So it's almost something you can measure. So that is how I'm going to frame a lot of my resolutions here, rather than I am going to build more notebooks. That doesn't usually happen,
Yeah.
especially over a long period of time. So, Mike, yeah, I think this is all stuff that's just going to make us better at what we do, or organizations, things that we've just seen that come up. And Mike, do you want to start? Do you want me to kick it off? How do you want to do this?
I can start if you'd like.
Sure.
So, one trend or pattern that I've been seeing, particularly with our customers today and the customers that I'm working with more and more now, is I'm seeing a whole lot more interest around Power BI embedding experiences, embedding Power BI experiences inside their existing applications. We've been doing a lot more help around this. There's a lot more interesting things coming out with AI now. And so, I think for me, around a 2026 resolution will be is figuring out more places where we could strategically place Power BI embedding. We've got a really good product that we've been building for the last about 6-7 years or so. And because of that, we're going to continue to invest in building a really solid product. So if you haven't heard, we have this product called Entelexos. Entelexos is an embedded solution for companies to start embedding their Power BI reports into their own application. If they want their own portal for reporting things around Power BI, I think people only think embedding is just read only. It's actually not that. It actually has a lot more capabilities. And also now with the whole bunch of APIs that you get from Microsoft, you can actually build embedded experiences where you're editing the model or adding your own measures or doing other
Crazy.
adding other visuals experiences, not standard Power BI visuals, but using the model as a baseline and then building other visuals and things on top of it. So I think for us, what we're going to really spend a lot of time on this year is going to be emphasizing and focusing on how rich of an embedding experience you can get through Power BI. You can not only just read reports, but you can read and edit. You can create new items. You can create new artifacts using embedding. So this really can be a foundational element for your data solutions inside your existing applications. I've seen this for many years. Maybe I haven't been as vocal about it, but
Mm.
if nothing else, I'm going to be much more vocal around embedding experiences. I'm going to do a lot more education. One thing you'll notice for me in the new year, this year, 2026, is I've been running a class called training.tips.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to go back to basics a little bit. We're going to start doing more
That's right.
content on
Yeah.
training.tips. And I want to do a lot around what is embedding? How do you use it? How do you get started with it? What kind of solutions are already out on the market that you could use out of the box so you don't have to build everything from scratch? So we're going to focus a lot of our attention this year on this more enriched experience or enriched space around embedding.
So give me the statement then for the resolution. Is it I will get more clients or more customers with an embedding solution, or is it I'm going to improve the product and make a complete solution here?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to really point out is I'm going to continue to educate or spend more
Mhm.
time educating around the value of Power BI
Yeah,
embedding. So I think that's really where we're going to spend a lot of time. I
yeah,
think if you understood really the implications of like how it works, how to get started with it, and solutions that are out there. I think if you just understood, I think more organizations would be more willing to start with Power BI embedding because it is very
yeah,
robust and it handles a lot of your, if you think about the users in your organization, the ones that are consuming and the ones that are creating,
yeah,
embedded does a really good job around consuming reports and creating reports. If you're editing semantic models, that's more of a Power BI.com experience, but the embedded solution allows for more flexibility there. And it's also, to be frankly honest, it's a cost optimizer.
yeah.
It helps you optimize costs. You don't have to pay $10 or $14 per user. You can pay much less per user to implement an embedded type solution. So it's actually a really good cost savings
Right.
as well. So I think there's a lot of
I like
considerations
that.
to think about it. I'm
Yeah.
just going to educate more people about it so that they're more willing to use it and jump into the boat with embedding.
Yeah, not gonna pander here, but I constantly bring people when they ask for an embedding solution, I go, "There's something you should check out." For me, I'm not probably gonna make that a major focus, and this is actually something I love, Mike, about doing the podcast with you. When we started, my wife actually said, "Aren't you competing with Mike because you're gonna consult into?" I said, "It's like two comedians doing a podcast. There are different styles. There's also different products here too. Yeah, there's some overlap, I'm sure,
Sure.
but there's a ton of things like I'm never going to need to touch embedded. Why? You have a great solution. Why would I go into something that I use or recommend to my clients too? So no, I like that. So for me, yeah, if I have people who are talking about it, I would point you to you. There is nothing better I've seen in the market. I'm personally not going to put that on my list, but I will add on to what you're saying though. One thing that you said, one of my things I'm going to side note on resolution is going to be you're going to see my face more hopefully online on training. We've talked about doing some more training programs. There's a lot of ideas I have too. So that's something I have. But Mike, I like your resolution here. So I'm going to start with a fun one here around fabric.
Sure.
I am going to learn and validate my own code coming from AI, especially in notebooks.
Mm,
Too often, Mike, I've been relying, and it's been great, and I've gotten a lot done. I've been able to rely on Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude to help really build out my solutions for a lot of the Python and Spark. But if I looked at the code myself, if all of a sudden, OpenAI said, "We're done, we retire, we're out," what would I do? So I'm going to try to be as self sufficient as I can with the code as well. Because here's the thing, Mike, it's great that I can sustain, even help clients using AI, but there's still that head knowledge that I still think, and maybe this is like a guy who read a book and said, "I don't want Google. You need to read a book." Maybe it sounds like that, but to me, I still think it's important that I'm going to be able to validate the code that is getting generated. And I'm going to spend more time on that rather than being lazy on, oh, that's what ChatGPT said. It looks like it works. And I'm just going to go run with that. So that is going to be something that's going to be part of my process now when building out solutions, or more often.
That's interesting. Um, are you going to take a? Are you thinking about taking like a class specifically, like an online class around something that's, Python based, or thinking through
So
that? I mean,
I've done that. It's going to be more on, honestly, what I did with Power BI. It's the Googles, man. It's the searching. It's looking more on the forums. It's testing it out myself and trying to
mhm.
write it. The reverse engineering, the way that I've learned, the way that I've continued to learn, and using that approach with my notebooks.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
I think Python's a very neat general language. It's very
Mhm.
easy to learn. I've really enjoyed it. I'm a huge proponent of learning by watching something else code and produce the
Oh,
code for
yes. That's
me,
not me at all.
which is well, I like
Yeah.
watching agents and telling an agent, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you please repeat it?" Right? And I'm finding reasonable success with agents going from, "I've got this, SQL cell block. Can you rewrite it in Python?"
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I believe there was an interesting announcement. So I'm thinking about AI
Okay.
and
Yeah.
data
Yeah. Yeah.
engineering and things as well. Um, I believe. So, do you use any of the workloads, Tommy? Have you played with any of the
Oh,
workloads
yeah.
inside Fabric?
Yours. And then there's a few others in there that I played with, but nothing that um is part of a daily workflow. But definitely, I touch what I can.
Okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because
I think you know what
um,
you're gonna bring
w-
up.
one of the workloads was announced recently, and one of the workloads, well, not recently. Let me say this again.
You told me
What
earlier last year.
One of the workloads is called Osmos,
That's it.
and Osmos is an AI generated, like an agentic way of like using
Mhm.
AI and data to kind of build out an AI based solution. Microsoft, and I got an email probably about I tried their workload. I had their workload running, and I got an email that was kind of interesting. It said Osmosis is basically going to be deprecating. They're
Oh,
not going to support the workload anymore. The workload is going away. It's not going to be here. And then another week later or 2 weeks later, I got a notice on from Microsoft. Microsoft announces the acquisition of Osmos to
oh,
accelerate autonomous
oh.
data engineering in Fabric. So Bogdan, who's one of the leaders of the data engineering space, has just recently announced that they're acquiring this Osmos company. Now, I played with the company; it was interesting. The link to the article is actually in the chat in case you wanted to check it
Mhm.
out. But Microsoft has announced that they've acquired them, and Microsoft and Osmos is going to extend Fabric with agentic AI for data engineering, which I find this to be very interesting. A Let me say it this way: I think Microsoft is wise to spend time acquiring smaller companies that are building really rich products on top of their existing stuff. Because these smaller companies can innovate quickly, build out good stuff, create things that are useful to people, and then Microsoft doesn't have to go through all the bureaucracy of trying to build a product and security things, and all these other
Right.
things. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Microsoft to acquire companies that are building workloads so they can get the workloads that Microsoft needs done quickly, but yet these independent companies can kind of work and build them faster for them. So this is interesting. This is a trend I
Yeah.
have not seen before. Microsoft has very rarely acquired things. I think the last acquisition around Power BI was there was some kind of dashboarding tool a long time ago, Tommy. This is the very early days of Power BI. You
The
remember
one in
that?
SharePoint.
Um,
Dashboards in SharePoint or a little after that?
it was a little after that.
Okay.
It was the company that was doing like cards and interesting cards. Remember that way back in the
Yes.
beginning?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
You know what I'm talking
that
about?
was a micro well, there's the Power KPIs, but that was a Microsoft visual.
Yeah, but there was another company that they acquired at the time, very early on. The name is escaping me, and Alex Powers is listening to us right now because apparently he's a loser like we are, and both working on a Tuesday after after break. So maybe Alex knows what it is and what that company was. But there was a company that was acquired very early on in the Power BI days, but since then nothing has been acquired. There's been no acquisitions of companies to build anything around Power BI, and so this is the first thing I've seen that Microsoft is acquiring around the Fabric data engineering
Good.
space. Microsoft pretty much builds their own stuff.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting to see
Well,
this happening. This doesn't happen very
this is a
often.
normal this is a normal cycle too, because you release a product and you make it open source. People start actually building viable solutions, and Microsoft goes, "Can we make this seamless?" This is the normal strategy. So now this is also showing the maturity of where Fabric's going to. And Alex, I guess if we do have someone from Microsoft listening, you want to buy a podcast? How about that? So no,
I
but
don't,
this is no.
I don't think they buy podcasts at this
I don't
point.
think they buy podcasts. We'll go on the road. I'm happy to go on the road with you. But no, I think this is the maturity of where Fabric's going, because this is the normal thing you see with most Microsoft products. People make add-ons. Once that product has actually got to a point where those add-ons are pretty useful, Microsoft's, well, like, we can make it just seamless with what we're doing already. This is already a complete solution. They buy it. So this is a good sign for Fabric to me.
Yes. So, and along this line, so Alex, I think you're right. You're spot on. So Alex is listening. Alex Powers, thank you very much for doing that. I believe Pro Clarity is the company I'm thinking of. They had like this like dashboarding KPI card-based experience, and Microsoft bought them a long time ago. And this was, so Microsoft bought Power BI in 2000, or came out with Power BI basically in 2005. Can you believe it, Tommy? It's been almost
2005, 15. That's 20 years.
Oh, 20 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is not the one I'm thinking of then, because this was acquired in 2006. So Microsoft acquired Pro Clarity in 2006.
Wow, you're going really.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I think there's another one that I was thinking of. It's escaping me now. I can
high school in 2006.
I can literally see the KPI cards that was being built there. I'll Google it later, and I'll probably bring it up at a future episode after I go find what the actual company was.
Yeah. So,
anyways,
all right.
Good acquisition there. Anyways, moving on. So you did your thing, Tommy, around more Python, learning code, doing those things as
validating
well.
And not just Python, whatever the code I'm building, whether it's also the warehouse or it's in a lake house, I'm going to be validating anything that comes out of AI and spending more time on that. So, Mike, is that something you think you're going to take with you? Because you're pretty proficient already, but still, I am assuming a lot of what you do is still generating from AI too.
Yes and no. I mean, I would say more of our experience. So I do a lot more of like the architecting side of things. I'm doing a lot more of the business acquisition side of things in my company. I have a team of people behind me that do a lot more of the data engineering, the work day to day. One thing that we've been finding extremely valuable for us has been using AI to help write code. So again, we're still going to use that a lot. Do I need to actually learn the Python? Probably not. I mean, if anything else, I'm going to be more engaged in using agents to help me understand what Python either has been written or writing more Python. A lot of times, though, I'll ask it directly, straight up. Here's some Python. What is it doing? Line by line, tell me what this is doing. And it's really good. I mean, this is something that has really shifted my workload. Like just the idea that I can take any kind of code anywhere and give it to some sort of agent and say, explain this to me line by line, what's happening. I can understand what the code needs to do. I don't necessarily know all the individual functions, what they mean, like meld in Python.
Yeah.
Like I may not understand it, but there's an expert at my disposal that costs me almost nothing to send information to it. Like that's the part that's really shifting things here for me.
You know what I do, Mike? Anytime I actually generate code, I started this probably 2 months ago, is every time I ask it to generate code, I always ask, ensure you're adding comments like I'm a dummy. Add comments to the code explaining what that section or that definition or that line is doing. And I said, whatever that block of code is, please add comments like I'm a dummy to for other users as well, but also for me.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you got for resolution number 2?
Let's go after number 2 here. So my number 2 resolution is, maybe this is a bit more, ideation or
it still counts.
Ethereal, I guess. Maybe it's a bit more like fuzzy. It's fuzzy. It's not as tangible.
Words? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Use bigger words that Tommy doesn't understand.
Hey, we're done then. The resolution you completed.
Completed every episode.
You accomplished it. Yeah.
I'm still at the point, Tommy, where AI is really valuable. I find it to be, there are moments in time it very much impresses me. It really does things that I can't do on my own. But I often feel like AI is not quite polished enough to actually take less time of what I've been doing. Let me restate this another way. Maybe inside the things that I build in Fabric, a data flow, a pipeline, a notebook, I can talk to the AI and it can do a lot of things very helpful for me. But I feel like I spend a lot of time talking to it and giving it requirements and building things for it. And there's a lot of back and forth between me and it to get it to develop or build what I want inside Fabric at this point. I don't think AI is at a place right now where I can give it less direction and have it get more of what I want done. Right. So
Less direction, more that I want done. Okay.
so think of it like this.
I got
A junior developer on your team. I can give you specific instructions. Hey, I want you to build a data pipeline that does this. Right. And the AI goes out and does something, or the junior developer goes out and builds something in a pipeline. And they come back to me with the result. And it does what it does what I expect it to do. It builds the right pipeline, but it doesn't quite do it how I would do it. Right. It's a little bit, well, that's a little inefficient here. And you're copying the data 2 or 3 times. That's not really very efficient. So what I feel like a lot of times is I had to like come back and rebuild a couple times. Okay, I'm going to come back to my thing. The chat has come up with the answer. Chat, you're amazing as always. DataZen. I believe DataZen is what I was thinking about. Acquired in 2015 by Microsoft. Going back to my earlier conversation.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
thanks, chat, for coming up with that. That is exactly what I was thinking about. It was DataZen was acquired by. That's the only other acquisition I've seen around Power BI and Fabric so far. Now Osmosis. Okay. Anyways, back to my story. Sorry.
I was like, is there an AI thing I didn't hear about? Man.
No.
Okay.
That was the end. Thank you, chat, for figuring that one out. Okay. Anyways, back over to incorporating more AI in my workflows.
I'm with you.
So
yeah.
I'm going to keep learning about AI. I'm going to keep teaching about things that I'm figuring out where AI works, because I think this has the potential for really making my workloads more efficient. I'm seeing a lot of really interesting things around people building reports with AI, being able to give it the spec. There's a lot of MCP servers are pretty interesting. Using AI to push things around inside a semantic model, I think, is very effective. But it doesn't quite save me time yet. I still feel like I'm in the learning mode where I'm still doing too much talking to the AI. Maybe I don't have the right instructions. Maybe I don't have the right, I haven't quite worked out my situation. And this goes maybe even beyond Fabric at this point, but like even automation of the podcast. One thing that Tommy and I have been thinking about doing here for a long time is
for 5 years.
Well, I want to take, we've been doing all these big pieces of content as an hour-long episode. Why can't I get this automated from, hey, I want to record the video with you, Tommy. I want to have it broken down from the video into a blog. I want to have it broken down from there into like a transcript. I want to have a blog post created automatically with the, like, there's all these things I want to automate. And right now the automation is just, it feels like it's so much work to get those automation things started yet with AI that I'm not quite there yet. And I think 2026 has the ability to be the year of where the AI starts tipping the scale and the AI becomes good enough to actually really start feeling like it's integrated well enough. It's actually saving me time, and I don't have to give it so much extra instructions. I can be a little bit less verbose, and it gives me better results back, right? So I think
use of words again, but yeah, I'm listening.
Does that make sense? Like what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah. So and
it's effective, but not as effective as I want it to be. So I'm going to continue learning on it.
I have some comments here. First, I thought you were going to say about the podcast. I'm going to basically take the good parts of Tommy's area and when he's not tired and just make that an AI voice chat during the podcast. And then you just cut me right out. We'll get the parts where Tommy's had coffee and we'll make Tommy GPT. No, but what I'm going to push back a little because I can see what you're saying. But to me, Mike, I think this is, when we look at Power BI and when you look at like a dashboard, it looks so easy, but the work that gets behind it for a semantic model, the DAX, the planning. And honestly, that is going to be part of AI. Now, it could get easier, but honestly, the planning and that conversation piece of it, I think is part of the skill and part of the planning. That's part of the work. I don't think we're going to get to the point, maybe we do, but I'm not expecting or planning on getting to a point where I'm just going to give a couple of instructions, a couple back and forth, and we're good. I think that's a skill. And I think that's also just the work that you do with AI. It is still work and it is still a process because unless you have your own custom AI model that is already has the context for what you're doing, it's going to require that, especially when it's something custom. Like let's say you were building out something for Intellexo, right? And you wanted to build out something where people can write or use a pen, make a touch screen. I don't know, whatever it is, right? Well,
Yep.
unless it has all the context of the coding already there, your style in that background, it's going to always require that back and forth. And until we actually have something more, either you locally build it or it just you give it the proper instructions, we're always going to be in that back and forth. I mean, look at Copilot Studio. The amount of effort, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but the amount of build and setup to do a proper Copilot agent is extensive because it kind of needs to be. And I don't think you're going to, I see what you're saying, and I want to get there too. But I think this is where the skill part of the instructions in writing back and understand what it's saying is so vital to this age of AI right now.
I guess what I'm saying, let me give you another
Yeah.
lens of how I'm thinking about this too.
Okay.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos around other individuals creating really rich, very smart custom visuals. Like they're Power BI visuals, but they're highly stylized, right? In order for you to get a visual with dynamic text or maybe dynamic colors or dynamic fonts on the visual, you have to be able to put the visual on the page. You have to be able to say what columns do you want to have, and then I have to build potentially a measure or two to help supplement that visual's coloring or styling or whatever. And so when I look at these visuals, I look at what I want to produce, right? I want the output of what they have on the video. What I don't want to go through or what I don't want to learn, honestly, is I don't have to learn the 16 or 15 clicks to get to that visual and how it looks. Let's be real, right?
But that's just lazy.
No, it's not laziness.
No, it's not lazy. I'm making a joke, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't want to learn that. I want the output of the visual, but I don't want all the clicks. So where is the AI to come in and say, okay, I want this visual with this style on it, and it should know based on like these other visuals how to make that visual look like what I want. Like this is things that I can do. It seems to me like when I look at like if we step back and said, let's look at all the reports that everyone has ever built across all of Microsoft, there's probably enough patterns to build any kind of visual for everyone. Every like everything that could be created has already been created in someone's report somewhere. So this means all that knowledge is captured in like a few heads that are at the top figuring this stuff out, building it. So to me, I'm looking at this going, well, where's the agent to do that? I think sometimes we focus too much on like AI to kind of like build the entire report. We need AI to build like the single visual, the small, like let's go down a supplemental stuff. Like I should be able to describe more of what I want around that particular thing. And it should be able to do all these 15, 16 settings, clicks, whatever. It should be able to produce that visual very quickly. And we're at a point right now where AI can build measures and things.
Yeah.
So where I'm at right now is I need to train myself to be better at doing these things. I'm going to continue to learn in this area. I think this is a very open-ended area. And as it relates to like building reports, as it relates to building pipelines, as it relates to building notebooks, there's going to be patterns that are going to kind of evolve. And I think 2026 is where I'm going to see a lot more of these patterns kind of emerging with AI. And those are the kind of things I want to stay close to in order to be more effective as a developer.
I like this. And I like this because I think we call it the year of the supplemental agent. Basically, because we can always build from the ground up, but you know what would make my life easier is those, like you said, that add-on, that marginal difference. If I can do that quickly rather than having to build everything or provide that context from the ground up. Okay, I like that. I'm on board. So we'll see what comes out. And a lot of this is also too, you are at the mercy of right now the AI companies to help build that too, because there's only so much we can do.
I don't know if that's necessarily true yet. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's a custom model that has to be built. Maybe it's,
right. They have to make that. They have to release it.
Well, why can't I funnel, like, why can't I just collect all the videos of people doing this and just feed those videos to the AI and say, hey, look, here's 30 videos that I have found of people doing small, quick tutorials around how to build this visual. Why can't the AI just look at that and figure out, oh, that's what the video says to do. Here I am in desktop. I'm just going to click the buttons for you and do it. Like, there feels like there's potentially a gap here that, or something along those lines. Like, so I don't know yet, Tommy. Like, this is where
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
quite sure how it's going to fit yet.
I think you're going to be building supplemental agents.
Maybe.
That sounds like what I like that. I like that. All right. So let's go on to my second. And I wrote a few down. So where am I going to go here? You know what? I'm going to say it. I am going to, Brad, he sold me. And I was not a believer before, but Brad from Microsoft sold me. Data warehouse is going to be part of my routine, man. And that's going to be something I'm going to be pushing. I think warehouses and what we learned and what the amount of focus, more importantly, Microsoft is putting into warehouses. It goes back to what we say: see where the money is and see where they're writing. And Microsoft is always providing major updates to the data warehouse, especially right now. They're nothing fancy. It doesn't glitter. It's the admin stuff, but
Sure.
yes, you need that. You
Yeah.
need that. And so I don't think it gets some people like AI does. Like, whoa, AI now, will actually say hello to you. Cool. That's so cool, but not really helpful. But all the things that Brad has done and his team around it and everyone else who's working on it may not be glittery, but man, is it an integral for how data flows and processes. Is also what the data warehouse can do outside of a lake house. Again, I'm always going to be in that point, Mike, on what does this do better than that? Why would I do both of them just because of one has different features? It has to accomplish this better than X for me to use it. And I'm seeing more with the warehouse. I'm going to be diving in more to not just building them, but doing them the right way and making more of my data, not just in a endpoint in the lake house, but in a warehouse.
Yeah, I've already started doing a lot more work around warehouse. I'm finding a lot of value from it. I think I've also tried to start shifting some of my mindset a little bit too, as well, Tommy. Initially I was always using Fabric as like the destination for transactional systems. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think in 2026 there's actually some opportunity here to make Fabric the transactional system.
Ooh.
Either like SQL databases, Cosmos DB. I think there's also some other databases that are coming to Fabric in 2026 that are going to make it a bit more of that. As a developer, I build apps. I work with my team to build apps, right? And what we do is we
Right.
stand up infrastructure that is behind Azure, and we're building servers and things that are over there. As I'm looking at this, I'm going, well, why do I need to build those things, those operational systems solely in Azure, and then try to get an afterthought of bringing them over into Fabric?
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really believe that small to medium sized applications might actually start needing to live, like their data, that sources for their application might actually live in Fabric. How
Mhm.
would that work? Um, Python and Spark is doing this pay per use pricing. It's called auto scaling, which really is more
Yeah.
along the lines of pay for what you use. I think if you see more pay for what you use type features on like Cosmos DB, SQL Server, I think that actually removes the barrier to entry for a lot of companies to say, look, I'm not worried about bumping up to the threshold in Fabric around, hey, I've outrun my capacity. I need to go buy a larger capacity to run my operational system, because that's a big no-no. Like
Yeah.
one of my biggest hesitations about what you're speaking to, Tommy, is I can't use these systems for real applications if I'm ever going to get throttled. It
Right.
just needs to continue to work. And me as the developer need to make sure that we're using it as efficiently as possible. So I can't have Cosmos DB or SQL Server throttling queries to my actual applications if
Mhm.
they're going to be having problems. So having something that's like auto scale on everything in Fabric is going to be very essential for transactional systems to really move them into Fabric. Does
I
that make
like
sense what
that.
I'm saying?
No, I mean this is 100% also for me too, because I'm doing a lot more, not necessarily from the application building, but most of the organizations we work with, they have applications that they're integrating or talking to. So it's that importance there on understanding how that works and making sure, to your point, that we can trust it, that it works all the time, and that you're not going to have, oh, it's a demo or we're still in a beta and it's kind of going to work. It's either we use it or we don't. It's either going to work in all these situations or we have an alternative.
Yes.
And that's where our organizations are. And we're seeing that we're getting there. And that's a huge part for me too. But it's also just the capabilities of the warehouse, and it's just another great skill set to have. You can get by with the lake. You can more than get by with the lake house, and I make sure I want to emphasize that you can do. I mean, most of the daily tasks with the lake house and be great. That being said, that lake house is that underbelly. That's kind of it's the cave that can accomplish so much. So that is my second resolution, Mike. Do you have a third?
Yeah, I'm gonna just react a bit more to your warehouse comments. I
Okay.
think the warehouse thing to me, I'm maybe not as much warehouse related, but I think Tommy, to
Mm,
your point there, I'm really exploring now what more can I do with
ooh,
Fabric in like operational systems that live on top of Fabric,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So you're saying warehouse specifically is an area of focus for you, an area of focus in a similar way, Tommy. I'm echoing the same thing you are, right? I'm also saying I still also want to learn more about warehouse things as well, but maybe mine's a bit broader than that. Is like, look, I'm trying. There's the terms online analytical processing. That's usually
Mhm.
the term for the data warehouse, and then there's
OTP. Yeah.
and then online
An
transactional
OTL.
processing.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
So OLAP and OLTP. I think Fabric is becoming more. The story is not just data and AI platform as like data analytics. And I think
Mhm.
Alex, you're pointing this out properly, right? It's not just the analytics platform. It's analytics and transactional system kind of all merging
Yeah.
together as one. And now you can build things that are really close together. And I think this is the same. If I look at the story here, and again, this is maybe intentional, maybe not intentional, but this is how me as an outsider looking at Microsoft and what they're doing is perceiving this. When I would look at the early days of Power Query. Remember, Tommy, we were doing Power Query with
Mhm.
Excel, and then Power BI comes out, and we have
I
the
literally
same.
have training for it this month. Yeah. So.
Okay, good. Whenever I do training on Microsoft and Power BI, I keep emphasizing Power Query is so useful to the daily workflow of a daily business
Mhm.
analyst. Like if you're doing any kind of analyst work inside Excel, you better be learning Power Query. It's so good. There was this moment in time. I specifically remember walking into a customer who was heavily um, uh, Excel everything. Everything was Excel. Everything in the whole company went from data systems, SQL servers, Access databases.
What
Everything
happened?
boiled down to an Excel sheet. So they loved it. And I remember talking to them and saying, look, when you have IT professionals building out data workflows, they're doing transforms, they're moving data around, they're shaping things. And you're in the business working in Excel, transforms, data manipulation, doing things. Both teams from two different areas can now read and understand the same language. Power Query was this homogeneous language, this homogeneous tool that would allow the business to go in and pull tables from SQL, shape them, conform them, adjust them, and in a graphical way could give that back to the IT team and say, look, I realize you aren't allowing me to have access to the full data set or system. You're just giving me like a window. But here's what I've did. Here's my work. I've solved the math problem and shown my work. Here's the work that I produced. Can you make another database or table or view that mimics the same the same transformations? And so to me, having those two worlds come together over top of the same tool was incredibly powerful. And for that company, everyone was like, the light bulbs are clicking on. It was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a game changer for us. And so I see Fabric being the same thing now again for
Mhm.
both this like transactional side of the world and this analytical side of the world where we're saying, hey, there's these kind of two worlds that have lived separately for so long.
Right.
The tooling now is providing us a common platform. Tommy, I may not be playing in data warehouse as much. I may not be doing Cosmos DB. I may not be doing SQL database as a business analyst. That may not be my forte,
Right.
but at least now I'm in the same ecosystem of tools or software or solutions where I can now directly connect what I'm doing to reporting. And so the teams, the two separate teams are now able to work in the same environment. And I think that removes a lot of potential data silos that we had previously.
Let me emphasize your point, Mike, because some people may be listening and saying, oh, Excel and Power Query, here we go again. Maybe he's just pandering to Alex. Guy, I literally have 2 month-long trainings this week on Excel and Power Query. And here's the best part. They just asked for Excel, and I had 2 scoping calls, and I said, "We're going to do Power Query." Because they were telling me, "What do you need? Like, what are you guys doing in Excel?" And they said, "Well, we're trying to transform data. We're trying to report on it." And I was like, "Here we go." And I said, "I want to teach you. Like, we're going to focus on Power Query and pivot tables, and then we're going to get into Power BI." And it's still happening today. This is not something because we're dinosaurs and we've been doing this for 10 years. We have, but it's still, companies are still relying on Excel for their data today. So this is still a large gap here, or a wide range of organizations on where they're at in their data maturity. So you're
Yes.
spot on. You're not talking about something 10 years ago. You're
Yep.
talking about something I'm going to be doing on Monday. Like,
Yes, exactly right.
and I'm going to also lean into your point too about where Fabric is, because this is also kind of my last resolution. And I'm going to dive into, Mike, that intelligence developer idea. We talked about this on episode 487, I believe. And this idea, Mike, of I'm a business intelligence developer or architect or whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, Mike, like, my role and what I should be focusing on is going to be data governance, is going to be trust, is going to be on the workflow. Has expanded. Now, the difference when I look at where I see Fabric today compared to when it first came out, I thought, Mike, that I was a data engineer and now I'm expanding the roles and I have to learn all these tools. No, my role is, how does the data flow through an organization? And it is going to be that conductor's hat more. But a big part of this too is still the trust, because it's how the data flows. And you emphasized this a few times already today.
Yep.
AI is such a big part of that. And it's whether it's through an application that they're building or a data agent. And the only way you're going to trust an AI is if you trust the data. The only way you trust the data is you actually have good maturity. So that's going to be such an important part of what we do, that we talk about the tools all the time. I hope we do a good job on the podcast of also emphasizing that gray area, the stuff you're not going to find in documentation. It's the people and the process side of this. But everything we're talking about, to me, everything that you said just emphasizes more the people part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a big part for me as we lean out here as we get into the new year.
Awesome.
It's never been more important. And
I agree with that.
I got one more quick personal one for those listeners out there.
Sure.
You're going to get a better Tommy. So we hear your comments, and Mike, I'm going to open up here. I'm going to be personal with the listeners. We hear your people. Sometimes people are like, is he alive on the podcast? He looks a little,
he's rambling too much. What's going on? I can't understand.
I don't
Tommy.
know. Yeah. So we hear you. I hear you. I definitely hear you. So you're going to get a better Tommy. I know, I'm sure that's turned some people off, but no, this is going to be a good year for us. And I want to say first, sorry about that. My bad. I'm sure that's not great, but no, I think for you and I, Mike, on the podcast, I think I want to lean in more on the intelligence developer, and we'll keep doing what we're doing. We want to hear from you guys too. We want to hear as we get into the new year, what you guys are going to be getting into. We love the relationship in the community here, but no, you're going to be getting a more involved, if you want it, a more involved Tommy. So
awesome. I do agree. So Tommy, you've done your 3 things, right? So is it mine to, okay. So I know we're getting close on time here. The last one I think I'll point out here for New Year's resolutions is an area of space that is relatively untapped, is this whole new area of workloads. I'm building them right now. My company is spending a lot of time and effort around building more workloads and figuring out what's effective there. I really enjoy workloads, and I think it opens up a ton of possibilities for companies and people to develop in there. Mm-hmm. I really like it. I think if you think about where external companies can invest inside Power BI and in Fabric, one of those areas was custom visuals. I don't think Microsoft landed the plane very well in custom visuals. They didn't do a good job of communicating licensing. It's difficult for developers to build on top of the custom visual space. It's also very difficult. And honestly, this is just me personally. If you're building a custom visual company and you're charging $10 per custom visual per user, this is insane in my opinion. Yeah. That's totally the wrong way to price these things. So I think Microsoft tried to do a good job there, but these companies it's just overpriced. I'm not going to double my price for Power BI just to use some custom visuals or even license things. I think it's totally crazy. Where I look at this and go, where Microsoft has done a much better job is licensing and availability of letting us as developers use the Fabric ecosystem, APIs, user permissions. I'm a much better developer on top of the workload experience. I can much more easily integrate my product directly into the Fabric ecosystem. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to, is just more development around workloads. So one of my 2026 resolutions is spending more time and effort around building workloads quickly, getting them out into the marketplace, seeing what people like. You're going to see more things come from Power BI Tips and my company developing more workloads that I think are going to be effective. And we're going to just throw a lot of stuff out there and see what sticks. Some of it will work, some of it won't, some of it will keep enhancing, some of it we might not. We might not, just kind of leave it in preview for a while. So we'll see what happens. We'll take a key here from Microsoft, but I do think workloads are very powerful. And now with AI and agentic things, you should be able to build those easier and faster moving forward.
I can't wait to comment on your workloads as well. So honestly though, Mike, if you do get to the point, I will create a page on the web that has your what's in preview and what's public. So
yeah, true.
Don't do that.
Yes.
No, I like that. I think, yeah, it's you don't really have much of an excuse if you had an idea for a workload at this point to not get at least try it with it. If you especially have VS Code or GitHub Copilot to get started, to get something out there. So I really like that.
So that's kind of where we're at on that front of things. With that being said, those are all my ideas. Tommy, do you have any final ones for New Year's resolutions?
No, I think I said my pieces, so I think I am good to go.
Okay, awesome. Well, that being said, I hope you have found some interesting things around what we're going to do here. Stay tuned. Tommy and I are going to be ramping up, hopefully, more educational pieces here in the new year, 2026. We want to continue to invest what we've learned. Tommy, I was just thinking about this while we're talking about the podcast. You said we've been doing this for 10 years. So 2015, it's now 11 years. We just rolled over now.
10 plus. We say 10 plus.
10 plus years. So between the two of us, you've got 20 years of experience listening to this podcast at your disposal here. That being said, if I think back, Tommy, think about your age 11 years ago.
Mike, I'm looking in the video and I see the white hairs here. So
yeah.
My age 25 years ago.
No, 10. Just 10. Just 10, not 25 years. But just thinking 10 years back, we've been doing this for 10 years.
I didn't have kids.
Right? Jeez. Isn't that wild? Okay, so I just want to say we've been doing this for quite a while. It's very much fun for us to do this with you, the community. We do welcome another year with you. Very happy to continue on with the podcast. I think it's fair, Tommy. I think we can lay claim to this. I think we are the world's largest Fabric and Power BI podcast by number of episodes, by hours of content created. I think we're the world's largest data podcast for Fabric and Power BI at this point. So thank you all for a really wonderful 2025 and looking forward to a really fun and exciting 2026. We are going to continue to have guests on. And Alex is already asking about when he can get back on the episodes again. So yes, Alex, you are 100% invited back. We need to get you in for some more topics. We'd love to have more guests on here. So anyone who's from Microsoft listening, if you want to get on the podcast, make sure you reach out to us. Go hit up our Microsoft forums over at Power BI Tips/podcast. You can connect with us there. If you already know who I am and how to get a hold of me via Teams, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Teams as well. Tommy, where else can you find the podcast?
Dude, you can find us everywhere. You can find us on Apple and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. A lot of my podcasts are going to Netflix. We haven't been asked by Netflix yet, so maybe one day. But make sure, as for now, still to subscribe and leave a rating. It helps us out a ton. Do you have a question, idea, or a topic that you want us to talk about in a future episode? Head over to powerbi.tips/podcast and leave your name so we can mention you and a great question so we can do it. And finally, join us live every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Central, and join the conversation on all of powerbi.tips social media channels.
Thank you so much for a great 2025. Looking forward to a really fun 2026. We'll see you more in the future. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.